Welcome back to KVUE Midday. Time now 11:22. You know, the pandemic has changed so many aspects of our lives. You guys remember this. Initially, shoppers emptied store shelves, making it hard to get necessities, and more people turned to curbside and grocery delivery services. Now, more than a year into the pandemic, experts are revealing how the pandemic changed the way we shop for groceries. Leslie Sarasin, the president and CEO of FMI, the Food Industry Association, joining us this morning to talk about this. Good morning to you, Leslie.
Well, good morning, Ashley. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. You know, it seems that things really have started to rebound compared to initially what things looked like in the pandemic. What was the biggest changes that you guys noticed?
Well, what we've seen is there's been tremendous change in how we shop for groceries. And those changes have been fairly fundamental, I think. First of all, I think during the pandemic, we've all developed much more intimate relationships with our kitchens than we had before. At least 58% of us have indicated that we're eating more at home, and 49% of us are preparing more meals at home than we did before the pandemic. I think we're also seeing changes in how we shop. So when we shop, we're buying more than we did previously, and we're also using technology. So we're buying online. You referenced the curbside pickups. There are lots of ways that we're using technology to be able to enhance our shopping. And then the third area where we've seen a fundamental change is a much more close focus on how our goals in health and nutrition are influencing what we're buying when we go to the grocery store or when we buy online. So lots of changes going on in grocery shopping.
You know, when we look at what people were buying initially, though, compared to now, we saw that, you know, the COVID-15 or COVID-20, COVID-30 for some of us, depending on just how much of that processed food you were eating. Are you seeing people starting to now try to get a little bit healthier, try to buy more fresh fruits and vegetables?
Well, I certainly understand and agree that early on we sort of gravitated toward those comfort foods as we began the pandemic. But I think over time, most of us have been able to sort of even out and become more realistic in our eating habits. In fact, our research shows that over half of us are putting much more emphasis on the nutrition of the products that we're buying in the grocery store and focusing much more on the meals we're preparing for ourselves and our families. We even have data that indicates that when asked how people view their own diets, the number of people who view their diets as being as good and as healthy as they can be was up 14% over the course of the past year. That's a big jump in such a short period of time.
Wow, it really is. You know, when we think about long term, you mentioned the curbside shopping on your apps. Do you think that that's something that a lot of people are going to stick to as the pandemic, you know, draws, and we're hoping that there's a light at the end of the tunnel? We're hoping we're coming out of this. Do you think people, though, are still going to keep up some of those habits?
I certainly do think that we will continue to do things like shop online. Now, I don't think it will be as prevalent as it has been during the pandemic, because many of us also want to be able to shop in the grocery stores. So I think what we'll see going forward is a combination of shopping styles. Many of us will do both. Some people really want to shop in the store itself, and so we'll have people who will continue to do that and maybe not use online as much. But I think online is with us for the foreseeable future. I think we love the convenience factor, and I think it's the younger generations that have sort of led the way in online shopping. And of course, they're the shoppers of the future. So I think their willingness to give up that use of technology is probably not going to be a big issue for us.
Yeah. Leslie, we thank you so much for taking some time to chat with us today and sharing this insight on these trends. For our viewers, if you want to rewatch this interview, we'll have it for you at KVUE.com right after the newscast.